Welcome, Thomas Karlsson, to Supply Chain 600 Seconds. You are CEO of Element Logic, Sweden, a very successful company, I'm told. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself and about the company?
I'm actually the managing director of Element Logic Sweden. We have a CEO for the overall group, so that's not me. So Element Logic is a what we call a systems integrator and also an AutoStore distributor that is focusing on the European market. So we are a Norwegian company founded around 1985. We used to be privately owned, but we were actually quite recently sold to Castic Capital, an equity company. Element Logic is currently the largest AutoStore distributor in the world, and this is based on sales in 2020. And the entity that I represent, Element Logic Sweden, was actually the largest single customer of AutoStore also in 2020. So we've had a pretty good year, pretty successful. Just to underline that.
Indeed, yeah. And this acquisition from the equity company that you just mentioned, it happened just a couple of days ago, I think, or at least.
Yeah, it was announced a couple of days ago. So but it has sort of evolved over the last couple of months.
What will that mean for you in the future, do you think?
That's a good question. I don't know yet, but I'm really much looking forward to this. I think Castic will well, we don't see them as only an owner, so we also see them as a partner, and we expect them to help us, to support us in order to take the next steps. We are on quite an amazing journey. And we come from a pretty local environment in Norway originally, and we are now stepping up, becoming a pretty large company in this industry. And in order to scale and in order to build up everything that needs to be built up, I think Castic is definitely the right partner for that. But concretely, exactly what it will mean is yet to be seen.
It usually means that you get a bit more opportunity to grow fast and so on.
Yeah.
Of course. What are your primary challenges right now as a company on the automation market? Broadly speaking, you have an enormous demand, I suppose, right now.
Well, we have a pretty good demand right now, and we had a pretty good demand for the last couple of years. I stepped into this role, just as that said, 2.5 years ago. My responsibility or my task as the MD of Element Logic Sweden is basically to drive the Swedish P&L and basically to manage the growth. And in order to do that, we are building and we are scaling the local team. And since the Swedish entity of Element Logic is one of the bigger ones within the group, we also play a vital role supporting other markets. So that is also a part of what I do on a daily basis.
Would you say that competence, good people, staff, is the most scarce resource?
It's one of the scarce resources. There are different. There are a couple of areas where resources are scarce, I would say, and competence and good, skilled, experienced people is definitely one of them. And as always, when building a team, we try to create a good mix of not only good people but even the best people from the industry. And so far, I think I've managed that quite well.
And AutoStore seems to be able to deliver all this material and sophisticated robots and so on to even more resellers.
Yeah. So it's not only Element, obviously, that is growing here. The whole industry is growing, and AutoStore is growing, I would say, faster, quite a lot faster than the industry overall, and is obviously also scaling their business and their business model. So we do have, but so far they have been able to sort of scale their production capacity and so on. Right now we have a couple of challenges. To access to raw material has become a challenge due to all sorts of reasons, and this is something we experience right now. So access to raw material for aluminium production for the grid for AutoStore, and also for plastic granulate for the bins has become a bit scarce. So there we have actually some supply chain challenges ourselves right now, which has sort of resulted in slightly longer delivery times than normal.
And also, I suppose the price will be affected.
Price
quite stable.
Well, exactly. When there is a high demand and the supply of these raw materials is reduced, prices sometimes goes up. But I would say volatility is probably the main challenge right now. Prices go up and down.
Okay.
We have to manage.
Okay. So if we look at this a little bit broader, the logistics challenges and trends that we see right now, apart from the automation, which is of course a big trend right now, what do you see on your radar as the most interesting trends?
I've been in this industry for quite some time, and right now we are in this really exciting transition. A lot of things is changing and is happening on the market that is affecting what we do. And I would say one of the main trends that is also sort of pushing for in our favor and in the favor of AutoStore is the difficulty or the challenge for our customers to predict what will happen tomorrow. No one knows what will happen tomorrow, basically, and no one knows for how long this transition into the digital world, into the e-com world, will go on. And therefore, flexibility and scalability is so important for the customer. And I would say that is probably one of the main challenges and also the main trends right now that we are sort of facing.
And this uncertainty hasn't kind of decreased in the wake of the pandemic, or it has it's grown even more, I suppose, and that affects
exactly. So the transition has been going on for years. We all know that's nothing new, but the transition has accelerated obviously throughout the pandemic, and that has sort of directly had an effect on our industry.
Of course, the growing e-com and the omni-channel ambition that many retailers have affects you a lot. Can you kind of give a picture of what you see out in the market right now?
So we are supplying our solutions to both or used to supply our solutions to pure retailers and then pure e-com players as well. And then of course we are also supplying solutions to the omni kind of player that are doing both, and there again we see the transition moving from traditional to digital, and this is a moving target. No one knows where this will end, and since if you have to supply to a store or if you're supplying to the end consumer, the automation solution looks quite different, and therefore again flexibility and scalability is so important these days.
How are the traditional brick and mortar players? How are they using the automation for the e-com? Are they building up special units, automated units for their e-commerce, or are they kind of integrating this in a broader scope? You see what I mean, or?
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a bit different, I guess, depending on the type of industry you are looking at. if you I mean, one customer of ours is XXL. Obviously, they have a pretty wide network of stores, but they also have this growing e-com business, and they are doing their order fulfillment both to the stores and the e-com the end consumer in the same automated solution. So that would be one example of an omni solution from Electronic using AutoStore, and that is definitely doable.
A few years ago, it seemed that many players wanted to kind of separate the e-com from the rest and handle that separately. But perhaps when it grows, you get another kind of possibility to.
I think. I mean, that was kind of the reaction. Some players had automation already fulfilling orders for stores, and then they were kind of forced to move into new solutions, new infrastructure for their growing e-com. But as this evolves, and from what we see and from what we hear, I mean, the customer experience is what will drive this, and having an omni experience, an omni solution in the end, I think is definitely going to be the end solution. But then we also have the pure e-com players, and that's obviously where we've seen the most growth over the last year throughout the pandemic. Since there was not so much growth in the retail part of in the store business, and there we see a huge growth and huge need for more capacity.
You told me before, Thomas, that ultimately it's the customer experience and the demand for a high customer experience that really drives the growth in the automation business. Can you elaborate a bit about this?
This is one of my favorite topics, actually, and this I guess is what in the end will drive the whole development of the e-com industry. It doesn't matter what part of the e-com industry you look at. The buying your things. I mean, if it's grocery or other things over the internet, you will become automatically pretty price aware, and also loyalty is therefore reduced. You quite easily jump between companies. So, what is the competitive edge from the retailer in the end of the day? I mean, somehow it has to be linked to price, but everybody will focus on price. But then the customer journey or the customer experience in the end will basically be what drives your what makes you take the decision to buy your item from what retailer, and there I think quite a lot needs to happen, to be honest. Look at the grocery industry, for example, where now a lot of investments are being taken in automation in order to sort of drive the development of the e-com development and the e-com transition. How will we, in the end, choose what grocery player we go to? I mean, will we go to ICA? Will we go to Axfood? I mean, that will depend in the end of the day on the experience, on the journey, and again, the journey is now not so much limited only to the store. You will either go to the store for a click and collect pickup of your groceries, or you will receive it at home, or you do a combination every now and then. So I think the whole development of the customer journey is what will sort of drive the competitiveness of the retailer in the end of the day. And then representing the automation industry, how can the automation solutions, probably closer to the customer. We talk a lot about micro fulfillment centers, for example. How can they support that? How can the micro fulfillment centers support an excellent customer journey in the end of the day? That is something I would say the industry right now that I represent think a lot about, and where we haven't really seen the outcome of it yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen much here, but in the US, for example, and I think also in Britain, there's quite some development around these micro fulfillment centers. But are we big enough in the Nordics do we have the kind of population and density?
Yeah, and that is kind of the question I ask myself as well. I mean, we read and we see some development in terms of micro fulfillment centers in the US and in the UK. And typically those countries are driving these kinds of developments in my industry. But the thing is, those markets are so huge. They are so huge. So I don't think we really see the shift in this trend or this development yet. So what will come out in the end, and what kind of players that will play a vital role in this, I think is yet to be seen. We know that. We know that the traditional grocery retailers are investing mainly centrally for their central warehouse, also regionally, but not yet locally. So last mile, which is something we talked a lot about the last couple of years, I think is still going to be a very important topic, and how the last mile can be supported by efficient and effective and customer journey friendly automation is yet to be seen, and how you combine that with your traditional store customer journey. So again, I think that the times we're in right now are so fascinating. If you like retail, we don't know yet what will come out of it.
We have talked about this before in other situations, but why has AutoStore become such a huge success, especially in the e-com business?
So for me, again, it's about a lot about predictability. There are a couple of factors that probably drives this, but being a player in the e-com environment where things are changing quite fast, and you don't know what will happen tomorrow. You have to, and then you're also forced to automate because the number of transactions are growing significantly, and basically your OPEX goes through the roof. So you need to do something, and you need to automate, and you need to act fast. And then I can't see, to be honest, I can't see many other solutions than AutoStore, since it's such an modularized, flexible, scalable, standard type of automation solution. And what is the consequence from that? Since I mean, every AutoStore looks different, but it's always built by the same bricks, the same Lego bricks, basically. You're using robots, you're using bins, you're using ports, you're using the grid, and from Element Logic you get this standard software, and that also means a lot of reduced risk, both for us as a supplier within this industry, but also for the customer. And I think that is basically what is paying off here. The speed from contract to the go live, a couple of months. And then the scalability, you can quickly adapt when there is uneven things change in your supply chain. You can easily change your solution into what is needed there and then.
Have you ever met a customer where you have said to them that an AutoStore wouldn't be the right choice for them? Honestly,
it's always the business case that pays off, and there are still segments out there where predictability is actually doable. And when you look into different technologies and you look at it long term, for sure you can end up with another technology. That is of course still happening. But in this insecure situation where predictability is so difficult, you have to come up with a business case that pays off in a year or so. Usually AutoStore is what comes out from that benchmark.
The big risk factor for you must be that AutoStore doesn't keep on innovating and keeping up. in the future and really being on the forefront. Is that something that you worry about or think about or
Yeah,
try to?
for sure. I mean, we talk a lot about that, and innovation in our industry is a vital part of our future, of course. And what is the next AutoStore kind of solution? I mean, we haven't seen that yet, but one day there might be something even better than AutoStore. Who knows? So we have
Probably someday.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have to keep up. AutoStore has to keep up, and innovation is definitely something we take extremely seriously within Element Logic. I know as a fact that AutoStore is doing that as well. So a lot of things are going on within AutoStore as well that will hopefully materialize in new solutions, new technologies in the future. And I can't speak for AutoStore. I don't represent AutoStore, but I can speak for Element Logic. And one example of innovation that for sure will or is already coming from Element Logic is what you see behind me. It's the item picking robot where we actually also automate the actual pick of the item of each and every item from AutoStore.
I also saw the other day that your CEO said that it was really important to innovate around the AutoStore and in services and softwares and so on. So
Yeah.
it's clear that you have the ambition.
So this is one example, and I mean, I've not said that, but Element Logic is a systems integrator. We sell AutoStore solutions. That means that we sort of dress AutoStore in other technologies around AutoStore. And that we did not do a lot of in the past, but we do more and more of that. And that means conveying technologies for takeaway handling, for example. It means empty carton handling. It's robot picking and so on and so forth. So we are maturing and developing as a player, as a key player even in our industry, for sure.
There's many large global automation companies now that resells, or what you say, the AutoStore system. What do you think makes Element Logic the special in this? What's your competitive edge compared to the others?
We are. You're right. There are more and more. I see this. There are more and more distributors of AutoStore, both locally and globally. So I mean, somehow that has to, I mean, be a good proof that we are on the right track, and AutoStore is on the right track. It's for sure something that we will see even more in the future. What makes Element Logic really unique here? I mean, we were the first distributor of AutoStore, and we are currently the largest, even though we only work on the European market. But what makes us, I would say, the most unique is that we focus purely on AutoStore. All our competitors are actually representing a much wider portfolio. So they sell also other technologies, and keeping focus on AutoStore makes or is more difficult than whilst we only sell AutoStore solutions. So I would say that is probably our main USP, being the expert and remaining the expert of AutoStore.
I guess they would say that the broad portfolio is their competitive edge. So
yeah, for sure. And that is sometimes a reason for not choosing Element Logic, for sure. When you need to supply all sorts of pallet-based solutions around the AutoStore, then Element Logic will not be the right supplier for that, for sure.
If we look in the crystal ball and see, many times I put this question to people, and we tend to overestimate perhaps the development. But if we look in the crystal ball towards what the warehouse will look like in 5 or perhaps 10 years, then will there be a big change compared to today? I mean, we have talked about the fully automated warehouse many years now. What do you see in the crystal ball? How will it be different?
It's It's difficult. We will see more technologies. We will see more intelligence for sure, and I think we will see more and more clever software managing the automation from an overall point of view. But given again the difficulties predicting what will happen. I mean, as long as we are in this fast or significant change and transition, the business case still has to pay off. That is what counts. No one will throw money at an automated solution without a good business case. So I think, and that makes the question quite difficult.
Okay, Thomas. The automation business is kind of a Klondike right now, and many new players are going into it, like real estate companies within logistics. We see that a lot here now in Sweden in just recent years. But sometimes there's a lack of financing of these facilities. Can you explain how it?
So what we see. I mean, there's a lot of new players out there. Wanting or needing, requiring automation, and they're also happening a lot within, for example, the 3PL industry. We see a lot of action from the real estate industry who wants to sort of move towards automation and offer automation to a portfolio of customers. So we are basically seeing that those players are sort of decoupling the automation from one single customer. They see that they can sell this automation to a portfolio of customers. So that is a clear trend that we see. We also see we put actually a lot of efforts into supporting the financing processes. Being a fairly young e-com player, for example, with not yet a fully solid balance sheet, getting financing for your investment is a struggle. And then new solutions are being looked at. I mean, either from a 3PL or from a real estate company, or from new types of financing partners that will sort of provide financing for your capex, and that is definitely a trend that I see, and where I'm spending a lot of time these days compared to how things used to be in the past.
And so far, the banks are kind of afraid or reluctant to go into this because they don't really understand it, or.
I see banks as fairly conservative players and not being very familiar to automation, and typically rejects to offer financing or I should say competitive financing solutions for our customers, and then new types of players step in and find solutions in the end. Access to capital is a struggle.
We talked about the vision for the warehouse in the future just a couple of minutes ago. But how do you see? Will there be any people in the warehouse in 10 years?
There will definitely be people in the warehouse. I mean, a warehouse has as many processes, throughout the warehouse. You can't automate. Being an e-com player with a big supplier portfolio, you will not be able to automate very easily the goods receiving process, for example. So there will be people in the warehouse definitely also in the future. But of course we are moving towards having fewer and fewer people in the warehouse. We automate one step of the overall process at a time, and adding automation for packaging and for sortation and also for item picking will reduce that further, and that also put some requirements actually on the operators in the warehouse who sort of needs to manage automation rather than pick lists.
It probably enhances the work for the operators.
Yeah,
in many
exactly.
ways.
Yeah, and we actually put requirements on our customers to provide super users for the equipment, and they are the people that we speak to when we discuss how to sort of improve the solution and solve problems and so on.
Finally, Thomas, what is your vision for Element Logic in, let's say, 5 years? I suppose you have a 3-year vision. Companies.
Well, like my customers, I struggle to understand what will happen tomorrow. But because we are in this pretty rapid growth situation right now, I expect us to continue to grow as a group. I think if I compare the Swedish market with some other markets, we are fairly mature when it comes to e-com. The question is for how long will this development and transition, for how long will that go on, and how much more market share can we gain on the Swedish market? We have a pretty good stake of the market share right now. But I definitely see Element Logic as a very, very promising company to work for in the slightly longer run. I'm convinced that we will continue to grow on both the Swedish market and all the other markets that we decide to step into, and having now the opportunity to work with Casting Capital that will support us in our growth. I think the future looks really, really, really good.
Thank you, Thomas. It will be really interesting to follow your journey here in the future and all the exciting customers that I've got the opportunity to meet during these discussions that we had. Thank you so much.